if you've ever been in a situation where you feel like you are kind of unique, you feel like a fish out of water, you feel like, you just don't belong. And it seems like it's going to be difficult for you to get in where you fit in and to get up to speed. I did not set foot into a gym until I was middle aged, well into middle age, in my 40s. I'm not making this up. What if your belief about what you can't do is simply made up? We're going to ask and answer that question today because a lot of people have beliefs about what they can't do, and those beliefs are just made up. They aren't really substantiated by anything. There's no evidence, no proof of it. So we're going to ask the question, and then we're going to maybe provide an answer for what you can do about that, how you can think about the issue, and how you can proceed. So this is Mark Johnson, your fitness ambassador from Bounce Pep and the youngest son of Bill Johnson. Thank you to all my subscribers. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Please like and please share. And since this is going to be about belief, I want you to go to the Bounce Pep website, download the ebook Belief. It is absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything, okay? Download this book. It's an action book. It's going to get you to take action in spite of the internal resistance that you feel. Okay, so it's going to give you some pointers on how you can overcome that resistance, and it's going to tell you a lot. It's going to give you a lot of suggestions about actual activities that you can do to build your belief in yourself and in your abilities and in your identity. Okay, so go ahead and get that. It is free. With that said, what if your belief in what you cannot do is simply made up? This is such a powerful question because so many people struggle with this. So many people believe that they can't do something, and the belief, in my opinion, is simply made up. It's not substantiated by any evidence, any proof, no nothing. It's just a belief in what the person personally feels that they can't do. Okay, so let me give you a story about when I first started living in Japan. I was 18. That was when I first did my long, my 10-month or 9-month stint in Japan. That was my first long-term stay in Japan. And I arrived here, and first of all, let me just say that Japan is a homogenous country, right? So Japan is something like 98% Japanese, ethnically, like racially Japanese. So me as a young black man, really as a kid at that time, I was just 18, but I was a young man. So I was a young black man in this society that is almost totally Japanese. Talk about a fish out of water, right? Talk about a fish out of water. I stuck out like a sore thumb. But I'm going to give you a little hint here about how I overcame the challenge of sticking out and also overcame the challenge of learning the language and learning how to read and write. Quite frankly, I was oblivious to how difficult or how easy it would be. I was simply oblivious to it. I had no idea that living and learning the Japanese language and reading and writing would be hard or easy. I was simply oblivious to, what it was going to be like. I had no assumption that I couldn't do it. Okay. I had no belief that I couldn't do it. I had no belief that it was going to be difficult. There was no preconceived notion. I simply knew that I had to learn how to speak the language, learn how to read and write the language. And so I went into it with almost as a blank slate. I was a blank slate and I was a sponge. Okay. So with that said, that allowed me to learn very, very quickly. And I didn't have any hangups I didn't have any feelings like, oh, it was hard or anything. I would hear people say, oh, Japanese is such a hard language. I didn't know what they were talking about because I never had any such belief to begin with. And so for me, I just picked it up and use it every day and learn how to read and write. And I just ran with it. And I want you to understand something. Think about, if you've ever been in a situation where you feel like you are kind of unique, you feel like a fish out of water. You feel like, you just don't belong. And it seems like it's going to be difficult for you to get in where you fit in and to get up to speed and really make a difference. I just want you to understand that, think about fish and think about amphibians. Amphibians did not start out as amphibians. They started out as fish. Before there were amphibians, there were fish. I want you to think of yourself perhaps as an amphibian. The fish at some point decided that they were going to come out of the water and move on to land. Now, at that point, they kind of transmorphed into amphibians. But guess what? They had to learn how to breathe outside of the water. Okay? So think of yourself as an amphibian. It's not that it's difficult. It's not that you can't do it. That thing that you want to do, whatever it is, whether it's getting in shape or making a whole bunch of money or whatever it is, if you have an idea for a business, whatever it is you want to do, it's not always that it's so difficult or so complex or so time consuming or so this or so tedious or so that. It's simply that sometimes you have to be oblivious to whether or not it's easy or difficult or anything. You've just got to have no preconceived notions about it and get moving. Just like that amphibian who said, I'm just going to come out the water. Or that fish who said, I'm just going to come out the water. And over time, the fish kind of evolved into amphibians. And then pretty soon you had amphibians that were able to, be comfortable in the water and be comfortable outside of the water as well. So you can do the same thing. Now, specifically when it comes to working out, of course, we always talk about working out in bounce pad because everything that you do in the gym is practice and preparation for life outside of the gym. So with that said, if you feel as if you're just not someone who is typically, you're not somebody who would keep themselves in shape. You don't have the self-image that you're somebody who is in shape and stays in shape. I want you to understand that that's just your belief and you can't let that hold you back. Let me tell you something. I did not set foot into a gym until I was middle-aged, well into middle age, in my 40s. I'm not making this up. I never lifted a dumbbell. I didn't know anything about it. No knowledge, no experience, nothing. But guess what? I had no notions about whether it was going to be difficult or easy or anything like that. It was the same mindset that I had when I was an 18-year-old young man, first starting my life off in Japan. I just didn't have any kind of belief that I couldn't do it. Now, if you need to get in shape, I want you to approach it the same way, okay? Look at me. I was middle-aged, no experience. I got in great shape. Now, granted, when I started, I didn't have any health problems. I had a full head of hair. I was healthy for all intents and purposes. People don't know, but I do have scoliosis. It's mild, so you can't really see it, but I do have scoliosis. So I don't have any genetic advantages or anything over anybody. I'm not physically gifted, but as a middle-aged man, I got into the gym with no preconceived notions about how difficult or how easy it was going to be. And I just started. I got a trainer. The trainer taught me and I started and I got in shape. And I want you to understand that same mindset about being oblivious to whether or not it's going to be hard or easy. Just don't worry about any of that. If you got something that you want to do, okay, stop convincing yourself that it's this enormous mountain to climb. Just stop convincing yourself that, okay? Stop convincing yourself of that and just get started. And what you'll find, whether it turns out to be hard or whether it turns out to be easy, what you'll find more likely than not is that you can do it, okay? You'll find that you can do it. So that is my message to you today. Sometimes you have to be oblivious to whether or not something is hard or easy. You can't go into everything believing that you can't do it before you've even started anything, okay? Don't strike yourself out like that without taking a swing. So I just wanted to leave this short message with you today because so many people struggle with this. And I see so many people that can't get over that hump because of what's going on up in here. There's no actual evidence for the belief that they can't do it. They haven't even tried. So there's no evidence for it. Okay, so if that's you, I want you to do that thing. I want you to get in the gym. If you can't get in the gym, you haven't been able to get yourself up and get in the gym. I want you to get out of your own head and just get up and just go and watch. You're gonna see those people in the gym lifting weights and stuff and on the treadmill and everything, and you're gonna say, "Well, I can do something." Yeah, you're gonna be looking, okay, I'm here. I can do something. These people are doing it. Half of them are gonna look worse than you do. So go ahead, give it a shot. With that said, this has been Mark Johnson, your fitness ambassador from Bounce Up. I want you to take this with you. Have a great day. Talk to you again next week.